Joe Bombo Gym Class Podcast, and this is something I've been trying to get to for a minute, but you're a busy guy, man. You got this team rocking. Y'all up and down the coast, competing all over the nation, and it's a special thing that you guys got going on here. And you being pretty new to this, you seem to have grasped control of this.
Right.
And of course, I'm talking to Combine Academy GOAT's head coach, Michael Wright. Pretty new at this job, coach. And when you came in and you heard of Combine Academy, what were some of the things that you were looking for before you chose to come here and guide these guys?
Well, basically, I've been, real familiar with Combine Academy. They started out well, my program, Liberty Heights, was basically on the same side of Charlotte, and we competed. Midday, we built a relationship and we compete against each other. And then they moved out here in Lincolnton, and then I lost track of where they was even at. And then they just made a splash. They made a big time hire, and they brought in a really good staff to start a national program. And once that happened, we still competed, and it was like a rivalry, and it was a fun rivalry that we had. And when they talked about, they was going in different directions, I was like, and they reached out to me. It was like a no-brainer, So Combine is a big-time program, man. They have dominated North Carolina basketball for the last 3 years, and we're looking to do the same thing. But it's a school that's full of sports, baseball, soccer, golf, multiple teams, great coaching, great trainers. Around, you got a partnership with Atrium Health where our guys get to go in and just keep their bodies refreshed, recover, stay strong, all that good stuff. So man, it was like once I got the call, it was like it's a no-brainer. It was tough to leave something that I was, I had with Coach Johnson and my wife, his mom, and then we brought the staff in, and it was tough to leave that, but it became like a no-brainer once you start looking at what you was going to and what you was looking to take over.
Yeah. So, if you could just think back on the times in the competitive matchups against Combine.
Right.
Like when I looked at my notes, one thing it said, if you can't beat them, join them.
Right.
Just talk about that time, just going up against the Combine team, some of the guys you played, and when did it click for you to be like, you know what, I should make that move?
Well, at first it was like a, not trying to be funny, it was a win before you played the game, once you saw it on the schedule. And again, like I said, they changed. They came and got a campus, and they had the resources and everything. You become better once you get the resources. And they did that. And not only with getting the resources, like I stated, they made a big time hire, and once they did that, they became a nationally ranked team. They became a state champion team. And it was just great from there. And then now, it's like we're looking to continue the dominance and have the greatness, and we're looking to do what we're doing now. And that's what we're doing.
Definitely dominating now. And I believe you guys are 12-3 on the season.
Nah, we 24-3.
24-3. Okay.
Yeah, 24.
I need to double that number.
Yeah, I was sitting there like all the games, man. I was asking one of the coaches out there, like, what is our record? Like, you wouldn't think you 27 games in the middle of January.
Seriously.
It's like, wow.
I mean, what does a schedule like that do for the competition and for these guys? Because y'all up and down. This isn't like a regular high school schedule where you're at your home comfort. You guys travel a lot. What does that do for the team?
I think it just prepared them for where they're going, prepare them where they want to be. And that's, a lot of them want to play major Division I basketball. A lot of them will get a chance to do so. But it just prepare them because, again, the way the school structure day is set up, and then you have everything right here. You have your meals here, you have your training here, and everything is provided for you that you need. But one of the best things about us, man, what we wanted to do was go out and really get good kids with good families, because if there's anything that you fall short of, the families can be right there to support and travel with you and all that good stuff. So it's been feeling like a major university type schedule, a major university type travel. And then, like I said, with the backing of the kids on our team, their parents. I've had a lot of great parents in my former coaching days and the former coaching programs that I was at. But this program, we had 14 players on the roster. You look in the stands, you'll have 11 of the 14, maybe 12 parents be at 80% of the games. And then when they travel, some of them be there before we get there. So it's just something good, because if something was to happen, that parents right there, and it's just good. It's good.
I mean, I can imagine, man, just to have that support. And looking at y'all's schedule, I mean, y'all, like you said, y'all get the competition in. Y'all got a big game coming up here this Saturday.
Yeah.
If you just talk to me about what do you guys expect coming in that game?
Man, we just looking to go down there and just, play our best and go down there with the win. Like every game when that referee throw the ball up, our expectation is to win. That's what we want to do. And that's why in the last couple of years, we've been winning. And then to come here, we came to a program that's been winning. With our staff, we took over a program that's already been winning. And now that we're here, we're still continue to win. But also when we win, we want to develop young men, continue to develop the young men the right way.
And like you were saying just a second ago, you talk about just how it is different, like the schedule, the training, the having meals, like it's like a pre-college.
Right.
Yeah. Is there when you look at that type of scheduling and how you got to put things together, you're more than just a regular PE head coach.
Right.
Who do you lean on? Are there people at the higher level coaches,
right,
former coaches you had that you kind of how you coach? How are you able to set this type of schedule to go off?
I was running my own program for 6 years. And then when I wasn't running my own program, I was a head coach elsewhere besides when I was at QEA. So I already had experience on how to do it. But when I came here, to be honest, this was the first time that I didn't have no responsibilities on scheduling games. I didn't have no responsibilities on any of that. It's like I have an AD and I have a general manager, and they take care of everything, and we show up and play. It's to the simplest thing. I got here today, I got an injury report from my athletic trainer. I already had the injury report in the email, what time the kids' doctor visit is, who the doctor is going to see them, all of that. It's I just walk in and the kid came up and told me what was going on, but then I look at my phone, check my email. Miss Candace already had it in there for me.
That's different, man. That's a blessing.
Right.
It's the thing as a kid, and when you talk about resources,
right,
the school that you were at before, just compared to the resources in two, because if I'm familiar with what I've researched, you guys didn't even have much of a gym.
Nah. And that's what makes everything, so beautiful, because it's we was humbled then, and we got a lot of stuff, and we humble still. And coming from Liberty Heights, we had a house, computer. We partnered with the Auburn School. And then years before that, we partnered with Penn Foster. We was blessed to have kids leave there and go to major universities. We was getting phone calls, that kid, that's not a school, it's not legit. Kids can't qualify from there. And I'm like, they don't know what they talking about. Our first class had a kid go to Wake Forest University and Michael Wright.
Oh, wow.
And the next class, Chris Martin went to Presbyterian, and it just started rolling. And Jawan Gary went to Alabama, and it just, Shane Scruggs just started rolling. Devin going to Mississippi State. And, we was doing all of that with just a van, a house, and we would rent out a gym. And we just traveled and played. But again, you can do anything if you keep God first, but if you just have the right people supporting you. I take a lot of credit, but man, none of that happened if we don't have, again, Miss Benita Jones, who was really over our kids, checking behind them with their academics. My wife, who was doing the same thing in cooking. My right-hand man, Coach Johnson, who's been with me forever, even came with me here. And then, once we expanded, we picked up, all kind of help once we picked up AJ and Coach Sean, and then I can't go too far without talking about the years that Coach Rob Schuler gave us, Santos, Coach Raymond Wolfred, we've had a lot of, we were small, but we had a lot of help.
How were you able to get there? You know, because I mean, like you said, one, being in Lincolnton, it's not like you're in a major city where people the attention flocks to.
Well, we wasn't in Lincolnton. Liberty Heights wasn't in Lincoln. Liberty Heights was in Charlotte. Now, if you're talking about this, like, man, you got to talk to Joan and Trevor, Matt Morris. They had a business plan. They came together. They was friends from Clemson, played ball at Clemson, came together, started out as what some people would call a fly-by-night program, and they kind of started out the same way we kind of did. But they had a plan, they had the resource, and they had a mind, and this is what you saw.
So how were you able to do that at Liberty, though, then?
Well, what I had, Liberty wasn't nothing like this.
Yeah. But how were you able to just, like, galvanize all these people around you that basically y'all were able to create this mastermind that made the success?
If you have a plan, people will follow. If you have good heart, people will follow. Man, if you humble and you trust God, they'll follow. And once all we needed was the first success story started happening. It's just like a movie, man. Your biggest promoter is people. And if people can't do nothing but speak nothing but good about you, people gonna follow. You know, and that's why, you know, when I came here, it was like, I knew it wasn't gonna be a hard transition for me, but it was tough because that staff, you know, they was good. They was really, really good. They was talented. They competed. They brought the right kids in. And when they decided as a group to mutually part ways, you know, it was like, well, who's going to take over next? And it was like, well, I'm not afraid to take over next. You know, so, and we're just doing that. And it's no comparison or nothing like that. But it's all just people just trying to do what they have to do to help these kids.
And I was about to ask you about the kid, but I'm going to come back to that because you spoke about following.
Right.
But one thing that just clicked in my head is one thing I heard from Tim Grover, trainer Michael Jordan, said, don't ever be afraid of the unknown.
Right.
When you hear that and kind of put that into your situation coming from Liberty Heights to here, how does that fit your narrative? Not being afraid of the unknown.
Man, I started 15 years ago when prep school basketball wasn't even popular. A guy named Chance McNeil, who's no longer with us, he started a program called Southern Carolina Prep, and I put the whole team together. Besides 2 players, we had 14 players, and there's a post-grad program. But it was not a brick and mortar. One day, I walked into practice, and he surprised me. He's like, man, I'm not even going to coach it. Mike going to be the head coach. And I'm like, why y'all keep doing that to me? Because my mentor, Jack Emanuel, son who played at Carolina and coached at Carolina, when I had got kids, that was a homeschool program, he did the same thing. He made us accept the job just for him to say, nah, I'm going to coach it. So it's like, I've always been thrown in the fire to lead, man. And it got a lot to do with how I was brain. It got a lot to do with my faith. It got a lot to do with just not being afraid to just step out there. And I mean, you gotta have good integrity. You gotta look in the mirror and trust yourself, because you got other people's kids' lives and decisions in your hand. You know what I mean? It was like I was bringing kids in that wasn't from here, and they was just staying in the house. And by the grace of God, nobody went to jail, and or nothing, nothing crazy happened. And there was a lot of success stories from it. So, man, it was real emotional coming here. Man, I mean, I did the press conference, I did all that, and after all that, and I went to my mom, man. We met at the Longhorn, my mom, my grandma, my uncle, my son, my stepson, man, and all the emotions came out. I broke down because it was like, for real, the first time someone really at a higher, what we would say combine is a more established, it's something. It is something. It's not the place that Michael Wright built, it's the place that I came to join. It is something. So it was like, for the first time, somebody chose me. I always had to just pick up something and create something. You know what I mean? Somebody gave me an opportunity, and that thing was like overwhelming. And then the thing was, I was adamant, like, I got 7 coaches, so how we gonna do this? All 7 coaches gotta come. You know what I mean? And everybody came. So it just so far so good, man.
It's sort of like a parallel, because it reminds me of just even what that Deion Sanders is doing, going from Jackson State. Just taking that opportunity to give your coaches opportunity. I
was laughing with Coach We was driving, Coach Ray, Coach Jones, we was in the van driving. We was going to, what was we going to? We was going to one of these games. It might have been this weekend. Nah, it was this weekend.
30 games.
Yeah, it was this weekend. It was this weekend. I was like, man, growing up, Deion was like my favorite player. I know people gonna get mad. He got dropped to number 2 because of Brady. But I'm like, dog, I like Deion more as the coach than the player. So they were joning me like, and I was like, man, I wake up every day, I watch something with Deion because he's just so positive, man. And if you really dive into looking like, man, that man almost died and still came out the hospital and was coaching that team and leading them guys. And not only that, look at what he did. Like, he did the same thing this year. He made sure that he was able to help everybody. He helped the guy that never got a chance to be a head coach. He became the head coach of his alma mater. He helped the Mississippi State coach. He brought him his head coach. He never would have got a chance to coach at that level. He brought him with him. And it was just like, that's what it's about, man. Like, we so used to pulling each other down that it's like, nah, man, that thing got to break. Somewhere it got to break. Somebody got to be willing to break. And a lot of times what I be trying to do when I'm out here and I'm competing and stuff like this, you see these people, and just in the last year, I'm not going to call no names, but just in the last year of when I came up coaching, these guys was considered like young legends. A lot of them died. From cancer, from the pandemic, from different things. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. So now when I go to these places, like, I ain't trying to be enemies with these guys. I just want to hopefully, you know, when the final buzzer ring, I got more points on the board than them. But if not, it is what it is. Yeah. On to the next game and wish them the best. But, man, I'm just such in a place of peace, man. Like, it was. If you would have talked to me November, early December, I had a little talk show they was wanting me to do. I had to stop doing it because it was just like, I can't talk right now because it's a lot of little hidden agendas and a lot of little things coming at you. And it's like, for what? For basketball? This is crazy. Like, so I was just like, let me just be quiet. And that's why we was missing each other so much because I ain't want to talk. Like,
I understand that.
I'm not a me person. If you look over the past, I never really brand myself. I never really do that. I love them kids. Like, you can call my former players, this and that. This kid right here, this a player. The reason why, this kid was at my wedding. Andrew White, I had him at QEA, my second year at QEA. He had one scholarship offer to go to Charlotte. He finished up at Wake Forest. But when I got married, he was one of my groomsmen. I had number like 4. He was one of them. And it's like the relationships that I try to keep with all of my kids. That's what I love, man. Like, I was looking today, like, which one of my kids playing today? You know, like, I just love that. And then it's a cheat sheet because now when you have kids, it's like they get to come up and be around these kids. Like, my wife was like, Maverick, do you remember PJ? Because we was watching the kid PJ Elvis on TV the other night. He really haven't been getting his way in college. Things have been going his way. And he got his chance. And he played well. My wife was like, you remember? He was like, how do I not remember PJ? And he started just going through all the names. And it's like, oh, he finna be 8. My son turned 8 this week. And it's like, man, he don't been around some players. And that's the thing, because it's like now we can't control with these phones and all this stuff what they're exposed to. But I'm blessed, like, not only my child, but Coach Johnson's son. I mean, when he had Jacob, these kids been around players.
Been around success.
And they can touch and feel it, and they become big brothers to them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even like with my stepson, early on in his younger days, sports wasn't his thing. We had no idea. He go to private school. He ended up being the starting cornerback in the 9th grade, where everybody in private school, a lot of the athletes reclass. He 14 years old, starting that corner. And I'm looking at, like, he getting messages from Ezra Sarr, like, don't be worried about how you look on the field, make sure you play. Elijah James is sending messages. And I'm just like, it's crazy how, you know, when the world putting a lot of negative things in front of you, that what you love to do, you can just bring it around your family. And these kids, man, they great. I don't have no issues with my kids, my players.
That's great, and it just seems like you want to create that family vibe, you know.
Right.
And just to keep it on the kids, like you had Silas, I believe you coached him at Liberty High, and
man,
he ended up coming to Combine.
Right.
Let's talk about that relationship and how did that transition happen?
Man, I'm gonna tell you the whole story with the Silas thing. I had Elijah Jameson, and Elijah Jameson, I don't like to recruit over my players. So I wasn't going to recruit Silas because Silas is good, and this and that. So when I bring in Silas, I get the approval from Elijah. Elijah's like, no, we can play together, we can do this, we can do that. And that was like the best thing because you got to, players, we want one thing. Coaches, we want one thing. But the players got to play with them.
Yeah.
They the one, when you out, they got to play. So and that's why I was like, man, the best thing I did was check with Elijah, was it okay? Because a lot of people are like, man, it's my team. They're going to do this and that. Man, that was the best thing I did, man, because, man, that kid is like the ultimate teammate, man. Like, I don't have enough time to tell you the impact that this kid has been. Just not just on this team this year, but last year when he was the youngest player to live in that house, in the team house. He was the youngest one in there. And it was just like, man, he started at the youngest. He started like being little brother, started becoming the big brother as far as decision making and all this type of stuff. And then we just talk about on the basketball court, he just got to refuse to lose mentality. Like, his record is crazy. He just has that mentality, and he's so selfless. And sometimes we had a little bit of disconnect a couple games because it's like he's been so selfless for so long that you get tired of being the unsung hero sometimes, and that's fair. So I'm telling him, like, look, you got to find your spots in here where you can see your success too in this thing, because his ultimate goal is to be an NBA player. And I believe with his size and his mind and his heart and his work ethic, it can happen. But man, he's been a joy to coach, man. It's gonna be tough whenever that last game is, and I ain't got him. But the funny thing is, he wasn't really supposed to return. So in the middle of the summer, there were several schools late in the summer. I'm not gonna say the schools, but they wanted him to class up. So Silas was a young senior. He was a young junior. He would have graduated at 17 years old. So with the COVID and all that type stuff, he reclassified. College coaches were saying it's best to reclassify. It's funny how college coaches say when your recruitment not going well to reclassify. Now your recruitment going well, they trying to bump him back up. So I get the phone call. From his trainer like, man, they trying to get Silas to go up. I tell his trainer. I tell his dad, his mom, I said, he ready. Like, if he want to go up, he ready. It's late in the summer. I got to hurry up and figure out something because I'm in trouble at this spot, but it ain't about me. Exactly. I'm like, he ready. Man, it was touching, man, because I ain't never really talked to Silas about it, none of that, right? So his mom tells my wife, like, Silas ain't even thinking about it. He said, I got unfinished business with Coach Mike. And it was like, it's too late in the year. I'm not going to allow Coach Mike to go into combine. I know how big this is for him. I'm not going to let him go into combine and at the last minute I dip out on him like that.
That's character.
Yo, I'm talking about a kid that just turned 18. I'm like, yo.
At what time was he already considering USC?
Man, he already done killed the NBA camp. He already done killed the last couple of. He's almost probably approaching 14 to 15 major offers. Yeah. And you got 2 or 3 universities like, we can take him right now. We got an extra scholarship left. He can come. He ain't that far behind. And I remember driving down here for him to come because I was down here when he did his visit. Drove down here to help him move in. And when he was moving his stuff in, we was having a moment on the couch and I couldn't even look at him, bro. I couldn't even make eye contact. I had to turn my head a little bit because I was about to start tearing up like this dude care about me this much. He could be gone. He can be gone. He can be at a university right now. And like I said, I'm not gonna name the university, but it was 2 to 3 universities wanting him to come right. Like late July, early August.
Do you feel like that was like a bad thing? You feel like that was a slight that they were trying to get him to come? So like, how do you feel like? I'm gonna tell you, anytime if
There were certain schools, the first time they saw Silas, they jumped on them. There were certain schools saw Silas. I mean, and they kept slowballing. But like I told them, I'm like, we can't look at that. Because therefore, if we look at it that way, then that's half of your recruitment list. So we gotta go into this thing with an open mind. Anytime a major university like you, man, I don't tell the kids or the players like to get into that. If the situation fit and it's a family atmosphere and you feel like you can grow there on the court and off the court, man, you gotta let all that stuff go and really lock in on what's best for you. And I thought he was gone. Like I thought he was gone, man. Like I don't know if I would have played this year for me. Yeah. To be at a major university, I'm not talking about these, I'm talking about major where they dominate in football, dominating in basketball, they baseball team good. Like it's a major university.
Like this is basically your goal.
Right.
Your dream, like.
It's like you gonna come back. There. And I'm like, little old me, little old 37-year-old me. He coming back to play for me. Wow. That's tough.
That's character, man.
That's tough, character, man.
And just to kind of expand on that, you got a pretty good team around you with a lot of talent. And you say like Silas being a guy that came back, and then you having someone of Trenton's magnitude join the team.
Man,
Right, he seems to be having a maturation year. You know, just talk about like how's that dynamic work? Because it seems to work on the court for all of them.
Man, it's been unreal. It's a saying, I don't know the Bible like that, but it always say the first shall be last and last shall be first. And it's like, again, going back to what I was telling you, how somebody that already established chose me. That was the same thing with the Trenton Flowers thing. Because a lot of me and Coach AJ, we did the bulk of the recruitment for us out there. Coach Johnson was coaching AAU with Team 9, and Get To It was coaching AAU as well. So we was going to everything. We talked to a ton of players. We talked to some talented guys. And I'm gonna be honest, a lot of them didn't big time us, because when you said that name, Combine Academy, it's some people that. They did their research. They know about Combine Academy. So you can go in there and have these discussions. Now they see me. I got a little bit of knowledge. I'm a little seasoned at this. Still got a lot to learn, but I'm a little seasoned at it. It's like, and Trenton, like, he didn't care about none of that. He was just looking for a home that's going to accept him, that's going to push him. You know what I mean? Be with him, don't kind of turn on him. Like if he play great, okay, but if he play bad, if he don't play as well, this game, you're going to really stay in the fight with him, because he's developing to be, like I said with Silas, to be a pro. Trenton is already on several mock drafts. And even down to, like, we talked to some kids, they didn't want to wear a New Brand. They didn't want to wear New Balance. And Trenton laughed at it like, we got flavors? I'll wear it. We got flavors. I don't care. And I was like, wow, you got a kid like that that's so humble. At that time, I already knew about he was going to be featured coming up in the LeBron commercial. I already knew about his rankings. I already knew about the offers. I already knew about certain things. And it was like he was uncomfortable with all that stuff. Like he didn't run and talk about none of that stuff. And that's why I feel like he's having the success he's having today. And again, everybody want to see these kids be finished products, but they not, man. They not.
They won't be.
They not, man. We ain't finished products right now.
They won't be.
So that ain't.
You're always gonna have to reinvent yourself.
Right. So that's why I was like, and it's just a joy to coach these kids. And then you mentioned Passmore, man. If you really got to know him and his humbleness, man, he's one of the most humble kids I've ever been around. Like, or sometimes too humble. But the way you just saw how he blew up, how he started separating himself from the pack. But then you come in here and that kid working. He know he got things to work on. He know he ain't there yet, and he ain't even he came in, locked in the door, wanting to work on his jump shot, because everybody was like, you athletic, this and that, but you can't shoot. and now he's shooting 40% from 3, and he ain't afraid to tell nobody he's shooting 40 from 3. He did an interview the other night with on 3 Jamie Shaw. Well, one of the things Keith he ain't like, is talking to media and this and that, and to find out like Jamie had interviewed him last year at a big event here in North Carolina called the Top 80. And he was saying like, and these not my words, but these are his words. He was like, how much the kid has improved on his giving out interviews. And it's like, Coach AJ is more like a mentor to him, been around Keith since he moved from Florida to North Carolina. And that's one of the things that we talk about, the confidence to be able to speak, to talk. I'm not good at speaking, but I mean, I can't shy away from it, because that's not one of my strengths. I gotta just, you
gotta speak from the heart.
You gotta do it. You sign up for the job, you gotta be able to do it. Some people like it, some people don't, but you got to do it, So that's one of the things I told him, and I know AJ's been working with him hard every day, text message, just call him, checking on, just making him open up and be comfortable with who he is. And man, it's just like when you get a chance, like now, 38 years old, you get to be around the youth, you get to be around these kids, man, and it's not only the kids that got the high major offers, or it's not only the kids that score all the points. You got Colin Turner score a lot of points. He's going to Richmond. He's sharp. He's very sharp. Colin Turner is a high major player, but Colin Turner told me face to face, I'm not coming to Combine chasing for schools. He said, I want the reps and I want to be prepared for college because I don't want to go to college day one not prepared. So he committed to Richmond before all the schools come, and schools walking on like, Mike, how did you do this? And man, this and they like, man, this boy right here. And I'm like, the kid like what he got, man. And he content with where he at. He just want to be ready for that level, But he's one of the kids, he kind of go unmentioned, man. But yeah, he's been that light bulb. He's always been there. But that light bulb hit 17U, AAU with Team Curry, and now, man, he's going into overdrive, man. I think he's gonna make some heads turn next year in college. But then you got one of my favorites, man. One of my favorites. I get on him a lot. I'm hard on him, Kendall Campbell. Man, I watched him coming up through the thing, kid. He had 2 ailments going on with his knee, and man, this kid is like he's a model young man. He can speak well. He's very smart. He got the talent. He can mix his game up. He's athletic. And just to be around these kids, man, it's just a blessing that you get paid, you get to work. Because I work with kids all my life. I ain't just start working like I worked at CMS, I worked at charter schools, alternative schools, group homes, mental health, rehab facilities. I like working with children. And now it's like, because when I was talking about all that other stuff, I never got paid to coach.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
This is like it.
Nah, the first time I got paid to coach was when I was at Quality Education as an assistant for 3 years. Them previous jobs, I never gained anything. I was putting money into it, you know what I mean? And then when I did Liberty Heights, you know how it is when you start in the business. You know what that's like. You know what that's like. You're going to be hot, you're going to be cold. And then while you hot, you got to be smart because you know them cold days coming, them cold months coming. So it's like, coming here is like, so it's been a blessing, man.
Like you say, like we were talking about the goal. Right. When we look at this season, you guys had a successful season. At this level,
we having a successful season.
Yeah,
that thing can turn, man. We still got some big games coming up.
So I was gonna ask you, what's your next maturation step to cement the success of this season as you look forward into the latter end of it?
Man, that's a great question because, man, it's I've won last year. So all the years of coaching, I never won titles. I won a lot of games and helped the kids out, but every time at the title time, we'll fall short. So last year when I got Silas, I was able to start learning how to you know, Ezra, because I remember Ezra hurt his hand. He was like, Coach, all you want is a title. We was at beach ball. And I was like, all I wanted is just be able to hold up a trophy, man. I ain't never did it, besides when I played. And that was like 14, 15U. So he's like, we're going to get you that trophy. So we win big shots. We win beach ball. 41 years, the first team from North Carolina to go down there in 41 years. So we win that. And then last year we won inside exposure. Both our teams won inside exposure. Then we win big shots nationals. But man, 2 years in a row, man, I went in as the #1 seed or the #2 seed and lost in the championship game of the Hoop State Championship 2 years in a row. And man, I couldn't be more happier than who I lost it against. And it was combine, but it was big. It always been bigger than that because you know right now, you know, we'll get back to how it was, but the guy that I lost to was like like a mentor to me, like a hero to me. You know what I mean? And that's just like you take that like. If I'm gonna lose anybody, I can. At least it's you. You know what I mean? Because I spent my whole life rooting for you. You see what I'm saying? So that's that. But I'll move on past that. But this year, man, to answer your question, man, I gotta get that Hoop State. I gotta get it. The reason why, because I've been there, is like the Buffalo Bills. I got that twice. Last year I had it. I was up 6 with 1:37 on the clock. And neither one of us could figure each other out. It was a low scoring game. It was super low. And then the kid at Illinois Jaden Epps he went into a whole nother, but he was already playing well, but he just went into a whole nother element in them last 37 seconds, man, and we fell short again. So I've won Big Shot Nationals. We got to play in that again. Of course, you want to repeat because once you do something once, you want to do it again. So I do want to repeat Big Shots Nationals. And Hoop State Championship, I want to go ahead and I think it'll be here. I want to go ahead and cut down the nets, man.
Hey, man.
Yeah,
what's the date on that?
That's what we're trying to figure out. Okay. So what happened with that was it was supposed to be like early in February to be ahead of the Big Shots Nationals, but then it was something like one of the teams, they did a deal and they couldn't make it, and they were our Godfather teams, so they kind of wanted to push it back to the date it always been sometime in March. So they ain't announced it yet, but we'll see.
Well, I'm definitely going to be looking for it.
Right.
I will be in the gym. Hey, Coach, I mean, I could talk to you for hours, man. I appreciate you taking time out and sitting down with us. We're definitely going to do this again.
For sure. And, I just couldn't talk right then, man, because mental, you got to be.
Hey, sometimes that's how it's got to be, man.
Especially when you feel like everything just coming at you and against you. You're like, why? Like, what? You know?
Hey, I'm one of the most realest people when it comes to sitting down and having conversations. We make it happen when it works. We don't want to force feed anything.
Right.
I definitely appreciate you sitting down.
And hopefully the next time I got a haircut.
Well, at least you in front of the camera.
Yeah, for sure.